can get this to come up now. Outstanding. This is so cool. Yeah, this is incredible. As I mentioned in the video, I've been presenting this material for quite some time now, and it's really my research on how the mind works, and a little bit on how the brain works. So I want to take you through some of that stuff today and talk about the components of our media, and so that you really understand the power of what you're holding in your hand. And then we're going to talk about the burning question. It really is about why we're using this media and how it functions with our marketing buyers and in the community. So it's fun to be able to present to the family, because normally I present to student audiences and entrepreneurs. So we're going to go through a few factors of what makes our media so powerful. But before I do that, I just want to find out, who are the chocolate lovers in the room? Okay, all the hands are up. All right, here you go. I would like to present to you some mouth-watering, delectable milk chocolate.
Thank you.
Did you hear what she said? Did you hear what she said? She said, thank you. She said, thank you for my advertising. Now, how often do you thank advertisers for their, in often case, imposition on your day? We get probably, and you've seen these statistics, the last one I read was 200 impressions an hour. I would even challenge that statistic. We're bombarded with information all the time, aren't we? So you look at, for instance, YouTube, and I mean, a lot of people are going to digital, and we're going to talk a little bit about digital and where we fit in with that, with the digital community. But when you click a YouTube ad, or you click a YouTube channel that you want to watch, a program, how fast are you pressing that button to skip that ad? Pretty fast, right? So how many people welcomed my advertising message this morning with big hands up? Exactly. So the power of the media is a lot to do with our senses. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. This is kind of awkward going back and forth to this, but we'll see how this works. So there's a study that actually PPPC gave me when I speak to a lot of student audiences with the scholarship program, and this is one slide that they gave me to use in our presentations, and it says, in a study conducted by Microsoft and Starcom, research shows that 10 to 15% of adults between the ages of 17 and 35 go out of their way to dodge traditional advertising. They're brand ad avoiders. So why do you think that our media is so powerful? Why?
Because they're actual items that people can use and hold on to.
They're useful, absolutely. What else?
They're disguised media.
They're disguised as media. I love that. That's true. What happens when I gave the chocolate away? I gave it as a gift, right? So often our media is given as gift. Who's gonna dodge a gift? Isn't it so exciting when you get something in the mail or a nicely wrapped present, you can't wait to open it? It's exciting, isn't it? So we're going to go through a few of the factors. So you'll see that on your handout there, that the handout is all done in pictures. It's all done in pictures because we think in pictures. We think in pictures. So I'm going to leave it with you to take whatever notes are relevant to you. We're going to talk about some things, whatever jumps out at you as important, and those are the notes you'll take, but the pictures are what's going to trigger back to what it is that's important. So we're going to look at the mind for a minute here. Now, when I started studying the mind probably 20 years ago, my first teacher and mentor was Bob Proctor. He also wrote the foreword in the book. You know Bob Proctor. He was the probably one of the philosophers on The Secret. And Bob and I still have a great friendship, great exchange. We're each other's customers, which is really cool. I'm trained in his material. He started using this image of the stick person. He adopted it from his mentors and trainers. And don't allow the simplicity of it to take away from the magnitude of it. So what I want you to do is I want you to picture this stick person is you. And the top part is the head and the bottom part is the body. And what I've done is I've divided the head into two sections, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Now, research shows that we perform the majority of our tasks subconsciously, between 80 and 90%, depending on which survey you look at. We perform those tasks subconsciously. In other words, we're not consciously thinking about what we're doing. The shower we're taking in the morning, or the coffee that we're brewing, the way that we comb our hair or brush our teeth or get into our car. Have you ever rented a car, and when you get in, you try and find the lights and you get the wipers going? Or you're trying to open the windows and you end up locking yourself in the car? You're really disoriented. You try and look for where the key is, and then you find out it's a push-button start. So you get in and you're really disoriented because everything that you're doing in your car is very habitual, right? You get in, you don't even need to look. Just by touch, you know where everything is in the car, right? It's very easy to operate. When you start to think with your conscious mind, let's say in our convention, we shift hotels. You're so used to coming in this hotel, you know where the convention center is, you know where the parking, you go very rhythmically, right? And then we switch hotels on you. And now all of a sudden what happens? You're disoriented and you have to think through, right? So in the subconscious mind, promotional products are positioned as giveaways, right? Well, there's lots of other words out there, but let's just use giveaways so that we're nice. We've got giveaways. They're last minute, often ordered at the end of the, somebody gets their trade show or something going, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we need pens for our trade show. It's always last minute. The booth is done, the training is done, the thing is planned, it's paid for. It's like, oh my God, we need our pens. Lots of last minute stuff with not as much thought, no measurable value. How many people are dealing with customers who actually do not measure our media? They order it and they just think it's giving it away, right? So what's happened is, I'm going to say the subconscious mind, because habit can be translated into groups. That's what we call culture. Culture is nothing more than a group habit. It's everybody buying into one thing and believing into one thing. Our industry has been positioned as frivolous giveaways. You stick a logo on it, you give it away. They don't think in terms of it changing behavior or driving results or that it's measurable. So if we shift from the subconscious mind that everybody is on autopilot, and how many times do you find that happening when people ask what industry you're in, and no matter what answer you come up, they pigeonhole you back into, oh, you do stuff that we give away. They hone in on merchandise, right? If we shift and we start thinking with our conscious mind and saying, let's shift from giveaway to sensory media. Let's just do that just for the next hour while we're together. And understand that the sensory media piece that we're talking is the brand that's talking when we're not there. So when we put our logo, our design, our message or mission on this item, when we are not there to be talking about our brand, this item is. And it's interacting with our senses, right? So what senses are you interacting with, let's say with a radio commercial? How many senses are involved in a radio commercial? Sound. So hearing, right? Absolutely. What senses might be involved with a television commercial?
Visual.
Yeah, so it's more visual, but also audio, right? So you're seeing and hearing. Well, we have 5 senses. So our media is the only one that actually involves all 5 senses, or potentially can involve 5 senses. And when we want to create impact with media, the more senses that we can engage, the stronger that impact is going to be, the more lasting impression is going to happen. In your handout, there are 3 pages attached to your top page, and it's an article that Tina, the editor at PPAI, wrote. And she talks about the power of our media by using an example of a fragrance pen. And again, there's lots of information and statistics out there, even on mail order items, to say if a card is sent out, we get 1% respond. If a promotional product is added to that, we get 20 to 25% response. If the promotional product, the more interactive and the more senses it appeals to, you start adding fragrance, or somebody has to do a scratch or do a puzzle or something with it, the more interactive it is, the more memorable it is. So even with food items, some people think with food items that we give it away, it's consumed, and then they forget about it. But if you give it away in a way, and we did this at Christmas time, we sent cards to everyone with with chocolate inside. We got more responses, Gabriella, from that mailing at Christmas time than anything we've ever done, because the mailer was interactive, it was fun, and we put chocolate in there, and people just went crazy. So we're getting our senses involved, which is really, really important. So factor number 1, we're sensory beings. We see, hear, smell, taste, touch. So the factor number 1 in positioning our media the way it is as a marketing pillar is strictly because we are sensory beings, and promotional products are the only media that can affect all senses. The other one is symbolic. It is symbolic in nature. Now flags, bless you, flags are nothing more than ink on nylon, right? It's just an impression, it's a design on a fabric. But people will die for the symbol of what's on that flag, what that flag represents. So if you think in terms of our media being symbolic, it's symbolic of the brand, then what are you putting on it? What's the quality of it? How are you giving it out? Why are you giving it out? Does it align with your purpose? So we start to think a little different when we realize this is symbolic. It's not stuff. It's changing. It's life-changing. The third one is reciprocity. The universe is so precise with the laws of nature that the NASA has no trouble sending a ship to the International Space Station and landing it back on Earth within the precision of a fraction of a second. The laws are that precise. So natural laws, like the visible ones, like gravity, for instance, does gravity care who steps off the top of the 18-story building? You could be 92 or 6 months old or black or white or Chinese or whatever. Gravity doesn't care, right? You step off the ledge, you're going down. The laws are so precise. There are also natural laws that are not visible laws, but they are equally as important that we pay attention to. This is where a lot of my study has been and is in these laws, and one of them is the law of reciprocity. And the law of reciprocity, basically, it talks about our inherent nature, that if somebody gives us something, we will have an inclination to give something back. So if I smile at you, you're going to naturally want to smile back, right? It just feels good to do that. So when we use our media that way, that we're actually giving something away, that people that we're giving it to will have a natural intention to give back to us. Do we have any Costco shoppers in the room? Costco shoppers. So now you know, Costco, you can go Saturday and have lunch there, right? They give away so many samples, right? It's great. They give away samples. They also give away a coupon. And they give away a smile, a little conversation in that. So there's 3 gifts that they're giving you. They're giving you the sample, they're giving you the coupon, and they're giving you some engagement, some personal engagement. Do you have that desire to try that product that they're giving you? More, they get it, right? You can Google law of reciprocity, Costco, and you'll see some really cool things come up. They really get that.
Quickly, there are some individuals that can pick up on that and might not respond when this guy's trying to get something.
Yes, there are people with get mentalities for sure. And this is when you start to understand that everybody's different, and it's our conditioning, and it may be when we look at somebody who has what we call a get mentality, it's usually because they see the universe as a finite supply, and they usually will compete. They usually feel that they need to get theirs before somebody else needs to get theirs. So they'll be the ones that will be first in line for those samples, and they might even take 2, right? It's a little unnatural. It probably is some conditioning that has brought them to that stage, but a natural tendency for us as humankind is a giving, is a collaborative nature. We don't all end up there, but hopefully at some point we do. Does that answer your question? Good. All right, so those are our 3 factors. We usually measure media in impact, right? With media hits or media impressions. So when an advertiser goes to book an ad, say in a magazine, they'll say, well, how many impressions do we expect to get? How much exposure do we get? And the magazine will usually have some data to say, well, we reach this many people and this is our users and this is how often that we think our magazine is being read or shared, right? So they have a little bit of information of that. This is information that we don't share with our customers, but yet this data is available between PPPC and PPAI. There's tons of studies that show the impression of our data. So when you think in terms of digital media, which a lot of people are focused on digital media, and you can affect a lot of people at one time with digital media, right? Stroke of a key, 1,000 people that you can affect right at one time. But it's one hit with the key and one impression. And that's assuming that they're going to read that email, right? With our media, pens yield, on average, 363 impressions. So that pen, whether it's kept by that person or it's lost or picked up. I was in a restaurant the other day and the server came up and he's, oh, I went to take the order, didn't have a pen. Well, of course I gave him my pen. He didn't give it back, and that was really great because I know it's going to get circulated even more. 363 impressions that pen offered. The mug, 231. A t-shirt, 235, and I would think that's even low, right? If you have a favorite t-shirt that you keep for like 10 years and you wear it all the time, how about your t-shirt that's symbolic? That was the run that you did, the charity run that you did, or the team event that you were on. That t-shirt can stay with you a long time, and you can offer a lot of impressions with that shirt. And the tote bag, the statistic, the survey that I read said 1,038 impressions that the tote bag gave. So look at all the bags right now that are in the grocery stores. That we've got everybody eco-minded and everybody's bringing their bag to the grocery store. Pretty amazing. It's not just the person picking up the bag that's seeing the bag, it's all the other people in the store seeing that bag too, right? So again, when you're designing that bag, let's talk about why we're using it, and let's use that as a canvas and tell a story on that bag, because it's going to give 1,038 impressions. Do you want something really simple with just a light logo on it, or do you want it to tell a story? So your message stays long as your gift is in play. So we want, of course, you know this part. This is where I'm talking to students and my entrepreneurial audience, that I talk about the reasons why that they want to give this gift out. So we look at the purpose of it and we dive back in. And we look at the media hits and we look at the audience and we want it to be relevant, right? So it has to, whatever you're giving out has to be relevant not only to the company or the brand to tell the story, but has to be relevant to the recipient. So that's why we qualify this saying, as long as it stays in play. So it has to be something that's relevant to the individual using it. So we've got our three factors that we're sensory beings, that promotional merchandise, sensory media is symbolic, and of course we can get the law of reciprocity going with us. So you want to anchor your brand and be memorable, then you're going to ask the burning question, right? So I'm not saying why are we asking the burning question, I'm saying the burning question is why. The burning question is whether you're a supplier, a distributor, a decorator, a multi-line rep, we need to be talking amongst ourselves about why we're using the product. So when you're going in to see a customer and you're asking them, they come to you and they say, you know, we want to do some pens for a trade show. And you say, why? They'll say, we need something to give away. Why? Well, we want people to take something with them. Why? Well, when they're ready to buy, we want them to buy our stuff. We want them to see us. Okay, so now we know that the reason that show is because they want to increase their sales. So sometimes we have to go a little deeper asking that why question to find out exactly what they're using it for. And when we ask that question, we can design products that are so relevant to that event and create measurable results. If somebody comes to us and says, I need pens for the trade show, and we say, what's your budget? What color? Are we responding to their purpose? Maybe, but maybe not, right? So as consultants, whether you're in whatever category in our industry, if we work together to ask those questions, we can be working on purpose. The other thing is, I attended a seminar at PPAI about social responsibility, and they were really emphatic about having this conversation from a perspective of social responsibility. You've seen some of the recalls that have happened with some of the products. Yeah, that's scary, isn't it? That's scary. We don't have, when I first started the business, a lot of our factories were local. We could go and do plant tours, and we could see how everything was made. We knew the owners of the company, and we could go in the back shop and see what was happening. Now, we're in a global environment. We are not part of those factories often. We don't see what's happened. We can't verify. So we need to have some documentation or paperwork or some support to say what we're building is appropriate for that audience. So the example that they used was a pen. They said a pen that would normally be designed for adult use now has Dora Explorer on it. So now that pen is being used by children. Are we taking proper steps to make sure that that pen is appropriate for that audience? Does it fit their purpose? So when we ask that question, why, we loop back all the time to saying, does this fit? Are we doing something that is really relevant to ensuring that we've got something that's building their brand, but also bringing the results that they have, that they want, right? Bob always says, selling is something you do for someone, not to someone. And I love that quote, because we see salespeople coming. Sales has not, it's getting better, but it's never been honored as a really noble impression, a noble position, has it? It's, there are certain groups as well, that when they're approaching you, you can see them coming, they're coming, and it's like, oh God, I don't want to be sold. I have, Gabrielle always teases me because I have one line, my home line that's run through the office so that I can access it if I need to. And it rings nonstop during the daytime. And it's all, charities and telemarketers and that. She says, why do you even answer it? I'm curious, I don't want to check the messages afterwards. But it's amazing how many people are asking for help, right? There's a lot of people that are calling or trying to sell. And I know so many people that when they get the calls, they come up with an excuse. It's like, no, I already gave, or no, I'm not interested, or they hang up or whatever. I don't have a fear of them because I know they're just doing their job. Somebody's got to do it, right? And if there may be an interaction that I can have with them, or there may be a way that I can help them, and that's okay. But at least we can have that conversation. But I know that that's their position, is to share with me what they've got to offer, and it's my choice whether I take them on or not, right? But when you're selling for someone, then again, you're focusing on their purpose. You're saying, how can I help you? What am I here for? As opposed to showing up in somebody's office with, this is going back a few years. I don't know anybody does this anymore, with a sample kit saying, here is what I have to offer. That's selling to somebody, right? That's selling at them. But when you actually show up with a notebook and say, hey, you know what? Tell me what's going on in your office. Let's look for some of those pain points. I went and saw Seth Godin last week, and we had a nice conversation afterwards. And somebody asked him, what did you say to your kids when they were growing up about, what they wanted to be? How did you direct their attention? And he says, I told them life's about solving problems. So he says, if you pay attention, I always said to my son, pay attention to what you love and follow that vein. But if you do what you love and you're paying attention to problems that are in society and you're solving those problems, then what a great fit, right? Then you're selling for someone. You know from what we've talked about here, and from the amount of time that I see some people here that have been in the industry for a lot of years, the power that you hold in your hand. That we are sensory beings, we've got the law of reciprocity behind us, and our goods are symbolic in nature. So we've got a lot of power. We can easily sell for someone because we can measure our media really well. And we know that our media impacts people because people love to receive gifts. When Seth presented last week, he was under the weather, so I emailed him afterwards and said, how are you feeling? And he says, not great, cold still hasn't gone. So I sent him some chicken soup. And he was very appreciative, but it was a picture of chicken soup. It was a nice gesture, right? This is the difference with digital media. Digital media is absolutely outstanding to reach a lot of people, and we can have some interactive things, but we're limited to the number of senses that we can affect with digital media, right? Our millennial generation is very attached to digital media, so we need to give it credit, we need to understand why, but we also need to understand that we are human beings and we're sensory beings. We love to be together. We could learn a lot of what's going on here online, but we can't wait to get in the same room and give each other hugs and high fives and exchange information like we can't do anyplace else, right? We love to be together. So in one of the presentations I had with the student audience, I think it was at McMaster, and one of the students said to me, he says, are you ever afraid that digital media is going to take over sensory media? And I said, if you got a text message from your girlfriend with little hearts and whatever at the end of it, I said, would that make you feel good? And he goes, well, yeah. I said, what if she came over and gave you a real hug? How would that feel? That's the difference, right? So do we want the picture? Or do we want the real thing? We're limited to what we can communicate in a picture, right? This is our media right here. This is our media, very interactive. And we can enhance digital, we can support digital media, right? And we can target. There's so much we can do with it because it's sensory. There's a hotel that a lot of you know I do a lot of work in the islands, and there's a hotel when I go to Bermuda that I absolutely love staying in. And I've stayed in all kinds of different places, and this one I've kind of honed in on. And it's a fabulous brand. It's a big resort hotel. There are probably 5 or 6 restaurants. There's 3 hot tubs, a couple pools, and it's at the tip of the island. It's at the highest point in the island. So the view is absolutely spectacular, and I love it, especially in the winter when it gets dark at 5 o'clock, and at least I have some space around me and some place to go, and it has all the amenities. The first time I stayed there, I really enjoyed the experience, and I thought, I'm going to come back here. When I came back, there was a plate of cheese and fruit and crackers in my room with a note from the manager that said, "Dear Miss Ring, welcome back, enjoy your stay, the manager." I thought, that was nice, right? So the next time I came back, there was in my room a card from the manager said, "Dear Miss Ring, welcome back, enjoy your stay, the manager." And there was 2 little truffles. So I thought, okay. So this flight that comes in, it comes in at about 12:30. So by the time you get back to the hotel, it's like 1:30 by the time you clear customs, and you're starving. So the fruit and cheese went down really well. The truffles, not bad. The next time I got to the hotel, there was a card from the manager. It said, "Dear Miss Ring, welcome back, enjoy your stay, the manager."
Budget cuts.
Budget cut.
Jay, did you go down and ask who ate your cheese?
Exactly. Who moved my cheese? Exactly. The last 2 times I've been at that hotel, did we get anything last time? No, not even a card. So here's the power of the media again, right? Now, next time we'll go and we'll ask them to do some custom chocolate or something, right? We were a little run off our feet. We didn't have a chance to get to them, but we will. The impact that him doing nothing, if he had done nothing all the time, I wouldn't have noticed, right? But the fact that the first time was like, we really appreciate your business. And then budget cuts, whatever the reason was, the gift got smaller and then the gift got to be 0. So when you start, my point with this, when you start with a precedent, if you do appreciate your customers 1 year and not the next year, they will notice that. And it's something that you want to share with your customers as well. So Christmas comes around, everybody goes, we're not going to do Christmas. People won't notice. They will notice. Plus, you're getting the law of reciprocity working for you. So the more you can do those touch points with your customers beyond email, the more you can engage with them, whether you're showing up, whether it's little packages that you're sending. It doesn't have to be at Christmas time. It could be Valentine's Day, could be Canada Day. There's lots of things you can do to celebrate. It doesn't have to be about you. We did a party when it was our 29th anniversary, and that was great. That was kind of about us. But most of the celebrations that we do are about them. It's about when we do Bermuda Day. We do stuff that's going on in their market to show them that we appreciate the business that we have from them. So it's nice to be able to tie that in, isn't it? But as I said, remember, you are very significant. You matter. So when you do set up a program or your customer set up a program and then you create a void, you pull back, they notice. And then they'll ask that question, oh, budget cuts? They must not be doing too well, right? We don't want that to happen, do we? So, picture's worth 1,000 words. What's our media worth?
Million.
Millions, right? I say to the power of 5, which is our 5 senses, right? So we want, take note that our media is symbolic in nature. We're sensory beings. We're getting that law of reciprocity working for us. And everything we do is about building relationships. Everything that we do, speaking with our customers, is always about building relationships. That's what we want to do. We want to earn that trust. We know that people deal with people who like and trust us, right? So we need to, with it, whether it's our Facebook page or however it is, we need to allow people in to get to know us a little bit. We need to show up in their office so that they can get to know us. We need to get to know them. And at some level, we need to build that relationship. And when we have that, that's when we're going to get those sales happening. Now we're doing something for them, not to them, right? So the burning question is why? Why are we doing this? Why is it important? Why do you need to do this? It's just I know our web guy asks that question when he goes to set up a website, and people will come and say, I need a website, and they'll say, why? Because some people don't. They don't have a customer base who's looking to find them on the net. It's not important to them, right? But our media can be used with anybody, anytime. Would you agree with that? Yeah, absolutely. So we need to ask that question, why, right? So this is the book. It's the laws, the understanding of how the mind works, a little bit about how the brain works in creating habit, getting over those habits. It's not a how-to book. And I did it specifically for that because you guys do the how-to, right? I didn't write this book, as my son said in the launch. I didn't write it for me. I wrote it for us. I wrote it so that everybody can use it and everybody can share this message, and together we can elevate our industry and help people understand the power of our industry. Anybody can take this book and understand the principles and apply them. So our job is the how-to. We go to our customers and say, here's the why. Here's the reasons behind why this media is so important. Now let me show you how I can help you use this media in a really powerful, measurable way. Sound good? I know you have questions. Yes? Yes.
A lot of clients, when they're doing, especially a gifting program, it's tied to sales.
It's okay.
Okay, so you were saying if they now stop doing something, their customers are going to notice.
Right.
So what happens in that case where this year they're giving the $100 gift to this guy because his sales have been this high?
That's right.
And then next year he doesn't get a gift because his sales have been here.
Okay.
Is that a bad thing?
Is it a bad thing? Did you hear the question? So the question is, if you're giving gifts to customers because of a sales level, and the next year their sales level drops, do you continue to give a gift and will they notice?
Yeah, and whether
So,
it's a customer or a sales rep.
doesn't matter,
depending on-
right?
yeah.
Doesn't matter. I think we need to look at what the factors are that contributed to that sales decrease. Are they ordering from somebody else? Did something change in the company? Is the buyer no longer there? Did they get eaten up by somebody in the US or the European market or something? Are they now part of something else? It would be like PPPC going after a company saying, oh my God, you didn't renew your membership this year. And the person saying, well, no, because we've just now been bought out by another company, so we're going to have this bigger membership. So I think we need to ask that question of why their sales are not where they need to be. And when we send out our gifts, and this is, you're gonna think that we're insane. We sent out almost 300 gifts last year to our client base. Now, some of them were the chocolate card. I mean, they still cost us a few bucks and they were interactive and really fun. Some of those people were our accountants, our couriers, people who were within our network who were supportive. We sent a box of them to everybody at PPPC and a few to PPAI because those people really help us do what we do, right? So whether or not we've actually had a sales increase with somebody that year, if we believe that there's still potential and we have built a relationship, we will still continue to do something. They may not fall into that category of, oh, now they're They're the $100 gift company. Now there might be the $25 gift company. But if we know why, then they may still be a $100 gift company because there still may be potential. We still may have a really strong relationship with them, right? So it's not, again, remember we're doing something, we're selling for somebody, not to somebody. So if you strictly look at that budget and sheet and said, oh, you fell below the yellow line, biggest loser, so then all of a sudden that, you're categorizing somebody. You need to look at those people as people and say, what's our relationship worth? What have we done together? I got a connection on LinkedIn yesterday from a customer we haven't dealt with in 3 years, but she's left that organization and they had huge budget issues and all kinds of stuff. We stayed connected. She came back on LinkedIn and sent me a message over the weekend and said, I'm in this position, can we connect? So we've built a relationship over a number of years. We have value to them. So now that she's moved on into another position, now she is calling us to help her again, right? So I don't know that can always be sales driven. I think you need to look at what that relationship looks like. Make sense? Okay. Other question?
You had made a comment, and I sincerely agree about it. You said, people love our gifts, we know.
Yes.
And I sincerely agree with that.
People love our gifts and we know that.
We know
Yes.
that.
Yes.
No, people love our stuff.
Yeah.
However, when we're selling to a certain level of management, marketing, that are looking at a lot of different mediums that are
Right.
very measurable,
Right.
they're going to come back to us and say, okay, so we've distributed 5,000 of these things.
Right.
How do we know that this is making an impact?
Right.
What?
So we've distributed 5,000 of these things, and how do we know that they've made an impact? So we need to come back. So a couple things we can do. We can cite just generic statistics and say, you know what? That pen yielded 363 impressions, whether you know it or not. That we can do that. The other thing that we can do is, Bic sponsored the book. I gave you all the Bic Click pen that's on the front of the book. Bic has been a great supporter, and I love the Click pen. When I was at the PPA show last year, and forgive me because I'm going to tell this story at awards night, but when I present the award to Mark, but Mark grabbed me at the booth. He goes, Jay, you got to come and see this. And it was a pen with a flat face clip on it. And he was so excited because they could do digital imprinting on that clip. And he goes, do you know what that means? He says you can do consecutive numbers or anything on variable data on those pens. And he said that means that if you give that pen out at a trade show, for instance, trade show is an example, now that it's consecutively numbered, you tell people that they need to check online once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever, to see if their number is a winner. So you now have encouraged people to hang on to that pen because there's more value to it. So if we go in selling that merchandise, understanding the why are you giving it out? Just because you think you need a handout? Okay, that's one reason. I don't know that aligns with the purpose or it's not measurable. But if we drill down a little bit and say, why do you want to give this out? Well, we really want to get this market going, or we want to launch our website, or we want to do something, and this is going to help us do it, then let's design the imprint in a way that we're going to be able to measure it.
So tagging it digitally then.
Tagging it, that's one example, is one example. Is one example, yeah. Following up with people, coding it. If you're doing different, you do different pens in different markets and you put a code on them so that when people respond, you know where that pen came from. It came from this show or that, destination or whatever. Yeah.
Thank you.
Does that help? Okay. Other question? How are we doing for time? I'm not watching. I'm just like going on. I'm probably impacting your lunch by now, right? Are we good? Yes? You feel whole? Did you enjoy this?
Yes.
Good. I'm so glad. Okay, so I have books here. If you would like books, I got them. If you have more questions, I'm going to be around for the next 4 days, so we can talk anytime. Hi.
Jay, for someone who's known you for many years, I think you knocked it out of the park.
Yay!
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that comment. Thank you very much. Thank you.